All right, thanks for joining today, guys. And what we're going to talk about today is some carrier niches, how to sort of, I don't want to say exploit them, but utilize them for your advantage for your customer, and ultimately find a better value proposition. So once again, thinking about our industry and our organization, you have 30 plus carriers at your fingertips to find the right type of solution for your clients. So what I normally say is when you think about it, carriers focus on two things: underwriting and pricing. Some will have really great pricing, but very strict on their underwriting. Other ways around, some people will have very liberal pricing, uh, but very liberal underwriting. The other way around. So very liberal pricing, but maybe stricter on their underwriting. So either way, I probably said that wrong again, but either way, the idea here is to understand where you have to find the right fit for the right client. And so ultimately, when it boils down to it, I like to say that every carrier is like an artist. And Mr. and Mrs. Client, our job today is to paint 30 different pictures for you to find which, painting you like the best or which artist you like the best. It's a difference of marrying product and pricing together to find that right opportunity for the client. Now, the other thing too is that when you think about it, maybe you place a case of the lead carrier and magically you find out that there's something wrong with the client that maybe they didn't want to tell you. Uh, so when it boils down to it, like maybe they have a smoking tendency, maybe it's cigars, something like that. Well, we have the ability to find carriers that favorably pick people who smoke cigars, even with a positive urinalysis, to still give non-tobacco rates. And that's kind of the genesis or discussion that we have today, really of what's going on from that standpoint of how you can find a better value proposition from the start versus on the back end, so you look like a genius when you talk to your clients. So um, let's think about this in perspective. When someone comes up to you, they start saying, "Oh, well, I do need life insurance." Well, most of the time, when you talk to people who say they need life insurance right off the bat, it's either they legally have to get it because maybe a divorce decree, or they're not in good standing, and they're like, oh shoot, now I got to get this while I can, but it's too late. So what we have to do is we have to fact find, figure out exactly what it takes to get this person covered by asking them a bunch of questions. Our company, our industry asks a lot of very intimate questions, so you can't be afraid to ask those intimate questions either. Like, do you smoke? What's your A1C if you're diabetic? What kind of medications are you taking? Any issues? Have you been to the hospital in the last 10 years? Why? What was the outcome? Because when it boils down to it, there's a lot of things that people may not know about themselves when they go through the underwriting. We've actually saved some people's lives by having them apply for life insurance, finding out that they're undiagnosed diabetics and they have A1C of 12. Well, they're not getting insurance, but you just saved their lives. Because if they didn't know about it, it could lead to heart attack, stroke, or other things like that. And so you actually help them. And then eventually, when it gets too regulated, then we can get them coverage. But that's why it's so important. I see this all the time. When your clients say they don't have a doctor, tell them to go to a doctor. They might think they're healthy, but we just never know until we actually get that blessed by a doctor. Because you would be surprised at how many times we go through these exams or whatnot and find out something is up, and they have to go immediately to get that taken care of. So when you've been in this industry long enough, you'll find out some crazy things. So what I'll do is I'll show you this impairment guide list. So these are a lot of what you'll find in the industry when it comes to concerns. The concerns is more or less, you think about it cholesterol, build. You've got some with marijuana usage, depression. Depression and anxiety are often combined together because a lot of times it's the same medication. You also have diabetes, which is a big one, um, elevated liver functions. The big one is other tobacco. So that's the niche we're going to focus on right now. You'll see Prudential, Lincoln, John Hancock, and Securian. So if I were to, for example's sake, get to my WinFlex, arrows hiding. Um, Let me open this up and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so people can see okay. So say for example's sake, we are going to look at a tobacco user. Let's say they smoke cigars or dip or even a pipe. Okay. So if I found that out right off the bat, say for example's sake, I was doing Lincoln and I wanted to do just a wealth preserve product, which is more focused on preservation or death benefit focused, not on accumulation. And let's say it's a 50-year-old. Let's just say we quoted them at preferred non-tobacco first because they look healthy. You don't smell any tobacco on their breath or anything like that. We do $1 million phase, and we're just solving for the least amount of premium for a total of 20 years. And we're going to do $1,000 by the age 121. Keep it level because we're going to keep it simple here. You know, we go and we find out preferred non-tobacco is what we initially proposed. Sorry, need my afternoon coffee. And so as we're talking to the client, client's interested, we go forth, we write an application, and you know it's $13,000. If I open this up, we'll see that $13,000 with Lincoln in the bottom right-hand corner. TP is the target premium, so 12,770. It's a good day, right? You know, you help protect the client, and on top of that, you get paid $12,000. But they forgot to tell you that they smoke cigars and they go do their urine test, comes up as a nicotine. So now all of a sudden, they're preferred tobacco. So if we do nothing else at all, we have $1 million face again, and we're doing a preferred tobacco versus preferred non-tobacco. We now have a problem because that same policy now is going to cost you almost double. You're up to 21,691. Now, as the agent, you'll see the target does go up because it's going to be a harder sell for you. But in perspective, this is one of those situations where we always want to make sure that we know or tell our clients, like, oh, if you smoke, what do you smoke? Okay. Because if they tell you, oh, well, I smoke cigars, that's different than cigarettes, but it has to be admitted on the application. Now, you're not going to get preferred non tobacco, but you can get standard non tobacco if you at least disclose on the application, even with a positive urinalysis. So, once again, admittance is the key to giving you a better opportunity. Now, I just found out, sadly, while running a case for one of my clients, that if you chew Chantix, Chantix is, you know, a tobacco alternative. Prudential will give you non-tobacco. John Hancock will give you non-tobacco. Lincoln will give you tobacco for Chantix. So there are some carriers even in this realm that will give you different offers for which type of tobacco usage you have. But you'll notice here that the 13,000 went up to about 15,000, but it's still not 21,691. So you're still saving your client about $7,000 a year. or about 6,500 a year, 6,300. So, needless to say, that's a hefty chunk of change, and probably easier for you to close a case had you known about that niche in advance and you submit it with the right carrier right up front. So, if anyone has any questions while we're going through this, please also feel free to put the questions in the chat or the Q&A, so I can gladly um, answer any questions as well. But this is one niche that I think is extremely helpful when it comes to working with your clients. Now, another one that I like to look at is build, because as we are in America, have a build problem. Uh, you'll see here that you have legal in general or banner. That's your termite. Protective is also more a termite than they are a permanent, in my opinion. Um, Prudential, they are ones who take a lot of risk. Okay, so when it comes to pricing, Prudential's pricing isn't as good as other carriers because they're willing to take on more risks that other carriers won't take. So, of course, they're in the build chart. Now, Prudential also has their own height and weight build chart. So they are unique. Actually, not their own height and weight build chart. They have their own underwriting manual. They made their own underwriting manual. Other carriers will go off of a reinsurance company's charts, like Swiss Re or Gen Re. Um, Prudential will go off of their own. So, if, for example's sake, we want to go to tools and resources on the 3Mark site under underwriting and impaired risk, and we wanted to go to carrier specific underwriting guidelines, what you can do is you can look at specifically Prudential's height and weight build chart. So as soon as this loads up, which it's taking its sweet time, here we go. So we'll go down to Prudential. Guidelines. All right. I didn't know if they had it separated. So let's look at build charts or build tables, which is right here. Okay, so you look at the build chart. Let's just say you're a 6 foot male and you are about, let's say, 283. So it's a BMI of 38. So BMI calculator of 38. You're a non-smoker plus. Oh, excuse me. 38, you would be a table A or a non-smoker. So pardon me. I'm not over 60, but all right. So you can tell by the BMI chart here how they're going to rate you. Now, the interesting thing is if I go back here and I look at protective, they also have a more robust underwriting build chart as well. Let me see if I can get to it quickly. Okay. So when you look at their build chart right here, you'll see that they have different height and weights to get you to preferred. Then let's see, over age 70. They have a max weight as well for, I would say these are standard. Oh, select preferred. Now what protective does is, I guess it's not seen in here, is they have table 8. Uh, Prudential will only go down to table 6. Protective will go down to table 8. So let's say, for example's sake, we have a heavier set individual. I'm going to use term insurance, and we'll do Prudential with their term essential 20. Okay. Let's just say it's a 40-year-old male, and we'll go with non-smoker, and we'll go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So table F. And what we'll do is we'll go $1 million annual. And then I'm going to copy this, but I'm going to change it to protective. And we'll go with their classic choice term of 20. But here we're going to go to table 8, and let's see if we have a major difference between the two. I'm doing this off the cuff, so we'll see if they're close to each other. Right. So table 8 with protective is 3366. Table 6 with prudential is 4365. So if you look at bill charts, once again, we're trying to marry pricing with with underwriting and figure out which way will work best. Now, protective, I call them a termite for a reason. Protective, AIG, and Banner in their substandard risk classes. If you think about how these are set up, standard risk classes, you have standard, preferred, best, but then you have standard plus 25%, plus 50%, plus 75%. That means you're on a standard chassis and you're getting added percentages for every table rating you have. Protective, AIG, and Banner are on a standard plus chassis. So even though it's still percentages added on, standard plus is cheaper insurance than standard. So they actually have it built into their tables that their substandard is on a standard plus chassis. As confusing as that sounds, when you think about substandard, you want to look at AIG, Protective, and Banner if you're looking solely at term insurance. Permanent, AIG, Protective. That's where you're at. Now, when we talked about two underwriting niches. I'll share with you a product niche as well. So if we go back to Protective, and what you'll see here is they have their choice term and then they have their custom choice. This is also term insurance. So I'm actually going to change this to a preferred. So the table H is gone. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to change this to the custom choice 20. So there we go. Preferred, solve, $1 million, 20 options, everything's the same. So let's see what the pricing difference is first and foremost. Okay, so not a major difference between the two. So if they're both term insurance, why would you pick one over the other? Well, the interesting thing about the protective custom choice is it's a term product on a universal life chassis. Why is that important? What can you do with universal life chassis? You can do a short pay. So, for example's sake, I have a 20-year death benefit. You see the premium option? Single pay or customized level benefit. So let's say I want a single pay for 20 years on $1 million face amount. I'm going to hit calculate. What this is doing is finding out how much it'll cost for a one-time pay, which would be 15,264 bucks. I have $1 million for 20 years. See that? 15,263.55 million for 20 years. I've paid nothing more into it. And then if I want to keep it going, they reduce the face amount and it costs me that much and it reduces over time. You have 20 guaranteed level years. And then after that, it becomes an annual renewable term. So where would this be beneficial? You have someone who's doing a 1035 exchange. They want just term insurance. They bought a permanent policy from someone. They don't like it. They'd rather just do term and buy up as much possible term that they can get. Here you go. And now you have the opportunity to reposition the asset. They don't have to ever worry about it. And you can find out exactly how much they're going to get for a specified duration of time. And you can do 10, 15, 20, and 30. So that's the only carrier that really does this. It's a unique setup, but it's a really cool thing that you could have at your fingertips. These aren't going to be things that you're going to see every single day. However, it is something that you might run into, and it would be a really cool story. So, that's one thing I wanted to share, at least from an understanding standpoint. Now, the last thing I'll share is this. We talked about it in Houston. So if you're there, you probably heard it, but repetition is key. So let's say, for example's sake, you have a multi-life opportunity. So we talked about two underwriting niches, one product niche. Now here's a strategy for multi-life programs so you can get guaranteed issue. You need at least 10 lives, maximum age is 65. They may allow up to 70, but I've talked to Marco at National Life Group. He says they don't like that right now. So what you'll see here is if you have 10 or more employees who make above $75,000 a piece, then you have the ability. Oh, they say 100,000 here. We were told 75,000, but you have the ability to get guaranteed issue for a company. So think about that. If you have a company of high level executives, say a bunch of lawyers, you've got 15 lawyers, and you're going to get 70% of them are eligible or want to actually participate in it. You can get guaranteed issue, and you can do an executive bonus plan. So it allows the owner to provide a value to their employees. Maybe they're uninsurable, but the other nine are insurable, and you get everybody involved. Now all of a sudden you can get coverage as well. So it's a great way to integrate, build out. It's not kind of like a group plan, but not. So that's why it's multi-life guaranteed. They no longer have the simplified issue, but it gives you a chance to really, find multiple sales. Good example, working on a case right now with an agent. We have a association of realtors, and they've got a pot of money, a large pot of money that they're looking to redistribute into bonus plans. And we got about 25 people. So talked to Marco. He said it looks like we could do something with it. And this could be a pretty big payday, looking at north of $1 million in target premium potentially for the agent. So um, that's the kind of things that are out there, and unless you know about them, you might be missing out on these ideas. So this is very nichey, very unique, but it doesn't mean it's not out there. So I want to just kind of share those, from the standpoint of some things that are going on in the industry. I will also mention too that we are getting close to the end of the year, so I'm going to start calling out to people and really want to see what we can do for next year. As an organization, we've done about $4 million plus in sales for this year, target premium, and I think we can double that. So we're gonna reach out to everybody and see what type of support I can provide. See if we can get a plan in place and execute and ultimately continue to grow. The big thing that we are going to push is a convention of our own in May. I'm May 11th, and I'm looking for every one of my agents to bring about 10 people, 10 agents. It could be on the life side, it could be on the health side, it could be real estate lending, But the idea is let's put butts in the seat because we have the opportunity to grow in many different ways. It's not just about doing life insurance. We are an organization that looks holistically at this opportunity to support people. And I think that's the thing that we always have to remember is customer first. What type of resources do we have available, or what type of referral process do we have if we don't have anything? And so, what I would say is that that'll be very important for the continued growth. So, start earmarking May 11th. Let's try and get 10 agents that aren't your already people in your organization at the event. I'm going to start building out flyers, passing them out, putting them up on Facebook and other places. So we'll have a lot of attention around this. It will be in Dallas because it's easy for everyone to get to, middle of the country, so it shouldn't be an issue. And there'll be more to come. So, really looking forward to that. Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything? Okay. Um, well, I appreciate the time today. Look forward to the continued partnership, and you guys have a great rest of your day. All right. Take care.